their first rotation on the red side. Maha, another aficionado of the Varus in previous seasons. Poor JJ's never going to get to play Zyra again. That's his feel when Zyra's banned. He's like, maybe Karma? They will first pick Karma if it's available, so we'll see if MVP ban that last. Galio available at this point. Some other power picks also available.
I wouldn't be shocked to see the Karma banned away, but it will be Galio.
If the Karma is banned last, then Kennen first pick is a possibility, given that Cuvée has played it already this season. Will be the on-hit variety. Only Marin has been experimenting with AP Kennen, and I think experimenting is right, given that he's 0-2 on it. Do MVP ban Karma with the last pick? They do. Makes sense, given the flex pick nature for Samsung, would certainly have been a first pick. And from there, Syndra is left available because of the Karma ban. We know how this story goes, and ladies and gentlemen, Syndra is undefeated this season, 5-0, has only gone through the draft once. Big power, and Ian, of course, very well equipped to know what is left of.
Yeah. Gragas could be taken away, whether it's for the top lane or the jungle. Maybe they want to lock down the ADC first and foremost this time around. They're playing with their options. Gragas will come through. But you already have to be racking your brain. What do you take into the Syndra in the mid lane for Ian? Because Fizz, not really something that you would kind of put in his wheelhouse. So
hey, you think about the champions that work.
Echo.
Fizz, Echo, Kassadin, these are all picks you can consider against Syndra. Zed is a possibility that Ian has played in the past, but would need to find probably more damage than just a Gragas. Maybe need a magic damage support as well, and Zyra being off the board means there isn't many high damage ones available. Jungle Paul may be getting down to the Kha'Zix level. Lee Sin, as we said, not going to be contested between these two teams, but will be very much highly contested in future series.
Yeah, odd to see the shift back over to the Kha'Zix. Was, gone for so long, now becoming heavily prioritized yet again, and so is the Jhin in this series at least, as it will get locked in for Ruler.
We'll see if there's an agreement on Jhin builds. Essence Reaver into Infinity Edge is certainly a possibility. I've seen people in solo queue messing around with Death's Dance, just get insane a life leech, I guess you would call it, back with your Q and also just your regular abilities. And Tahm Kench taken early to answer the Ashes. I hear no, because I know that with MVP, you always have to be ready for the chance of a Veigar. That's not going to happen. Just yet, anyway.
All right, Orianna will get locked in here for Ian.
Self-counterpick. We already had the Rumble self-counterpick for ADD in Game 1. The Orianna, especially without a lead, is certainly that as well.
Yeah.
You could say at least the Ashe will probably force a cleanse from Crown, so it won't be the same flexibility to get the roams first for Crown on the Syndra, but Crown on Syndra went from being a meme in previous years where they had to ban Syndra on blue and red side at Worlds to one of his power picks, even more so than the Victor that he's played a lot more sparingly recently. So important to track is now Cuvée is drawing ban. Did not draw really any bans all of spring. Drawing a Kled ban is a big improvement for Samsung as it released pressure on their other carries.
Well, they banned away the brand, but they want to focus out the bottom lane. We saw Vel'Koz, the final ban from Samsung there in Game 1. But it's going to be the Bard this time around since they have the Tahm Kench.
Now, what don't you think Thresh has actually made it through this far? Now, Thresh into the Tahm Kench is not great for lane phase, but can be strong. Will Maha go for a non-engaged support? And he does respect the Tahm Kench Devour and go for the Zillion, another favorite of his in previous seasons.
Yeah.
If you're on point, you can negate the burst of the Syndra. Unleash power being answered by the Chrono Shift is a possibility for sure, but split-second timings, and you know what? Syndra probably just turns onto the Squishy Zillion, just kills him instead.
Yeah, he and Fly, two big Zillion players that we had last split. Rip Fly.
I just need Scepter to play Aurelion Sol. We can't have no Aurelion Sol players in the LCK, Achilles.
That's true. Keeps teasing us with that one.
It'll come, eventually. Especially if Syndra becomes a bit more toned down and thus is being able to be picked.
Still want to see Faker pick it up as well.
Faker's no ASOL.
One day. Everyone has their moments, Papa Smithy. But Kha'Zix coming back out yet again, and it's going to be J4 this time into the top lane for Cuvée.
That means he's kind of expecting, or kind of the difference between a good matchup against Gragas where you can overtake the CC effect, because of course during the Cataclysm animation you cannot be bumped out by the Gragas, or he's just happy to blind pick it. And many top laners have elected to blind pick Jarvan. The only two punishment picks are Renekton and Rumble, both of them available. ADD doesn't want to mess around with the Rumble again. We'll take the Renekton into it. It is the standard lane counter. ADD's laning phase has always been capable, but largely on picks that are a little bit left of the meta. So will he be able to do the sort of harassment job on Renekton to justify the pick into the job?
I don't know, a lot of pressure here on ADD. Hasn't had the greatest performances for his squad, where, you know, he was one of the ones that we would look to during the spring split, bringing out that Scion, that Rengar top lane, had those shining moments alongside Max. It was very much about those two, with Beyond kind of just step behind them, bringing this team to success.
You kind of take a step back and you think, okay, what did ADD play though? And when the Scion ended, it was pretty much tanks, right? He wasn't really playing a lot of carries in the top lane, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised that with kind of needed the flexibility of a top lane to play the Kleds and the Fioras and the Cannons of the world, and also complement that with a bit of beef that ADD has kind of fallen away. He hasn't really found his identity as Cuvée has found his spirit animal in the Kleds, so development to be done there. Crown got Syndra somehow. That's how the draft went, with the double support, or at least the Flex Karma and support band towards the Zyra. So a lot of power available for Crown, looking to extend that win streak for Syndra and LCK Summer to 6.
Yeah, definitely a very scary matchup here for Ian in the mid lane. Back onto that Orianna, needs to land those shockwaves. We saw him crucially miss at the end of game 1. Let's see if they can piece it all together, MVP, and put a win on the board as we load up for game number 2. Here we go. Crown back in onto the Syndra. I mean, tried so hard to get this into his champion pool, and when it finally, when he finally broke the seal on it, it just started becoming an absolute force for Samsung.
And kind of the fun thing about Crown is that his reputation as being the second best mid laner, as people were billing him by Worlds, and a lot of people would agree upon by the time they took SKT to 5 games in the World Finals, and also his spring MVP season. He actually doesn't have a lot of overlap with Faker in terms of identity, because Crown has been someone who's been very honest, and I have to work really hard to add these champions to my champion pool. I've always credited him as a mastery player. Mastery of Victor, certainly. But the Syndra mastery took so much longer. It was significant hole to have to ban it on blue and red side throughout the whole course of Worlds, but it just wasn't a pick that he played, or he didn't really have a happy answer. He didn't have Aurelion Sol, which was the big answer then. His Vladimir is decent, but wasn't necessarily top tier. So he's someone you can really respect and identify with, because a lot of us don't have things that come easy to us. We have to work really hard at them, and that's what Crown has done. And when you see him perform on the Syndra, whatever the power level of the pick, you kind of admire how much time you look at his solo queue and how many games he put in to get to this point.
Yeah. See that from time to time as well on that Talia, that he did really did help popularize back in Korea.
Once in a while it lines up. Like you said, the Talia has probably been one of Crown's best. Once again, it was kind of Fly and Crown who led the way on the Talia, and Kuro picked it up, and Faker as well. Trendsetters.
For now, just going to start things off nice and slow. Crown throw down some vision so he can spot out Beyond. See him as he gets ready to rotate over towards that blue buff, and Ambition is going to find a nice little invade on the red.
So they got a blue ward down early in the level 1. And from there, it does allow Ambition to walk over and contest a buff. Not something you usually expect with specifically the Kha'Zix. Usually falls a bit low on his first clear. But got the leash, start W on the Raptors and clear them out, and just walks very confidently over. Will steal away a red, and no such information available here. I guess you can definitely have a suspicion because the enemy blue still hasn't been started. If it's not started in the next few seconds, he'll kind of know that the jig is up here and Beyond will move away, but Ambition's getting very greedy going for an extra cam.
I mean, the hawk shot came through, but nobody pinged him, so not sure if it was just verbally communicated or if they couldn't quite see into the Krug cam. So Ambition might be still hidden up towards this top side of the map.
I'm going to assume he's not, because I'll be worried if he is, if you know what I mean. Maybe we'll have to check ask someone to look into that post-game.
ADD is still playing very far forward. He would be susceptible to a gank, but Ambition's just a bit more interested in getting his shop on. Go back to the base.
Syndra that we spoke about at length. So happy times for Ambition. Can't quite finish his Tracker's Knife or his full jungle enchant, but otherwise happy. Call JJ because they have the lane in a decent spot. Won't be pushing because Jin Tom Kench will not have the push win against the Ashe Zilean. Still had enough pressure relieved to be able to make this move, and
Core JJ is going to find him in the brush. Face checks, the rotation starting to come through.
Interrupts the body slam.
Yeah, goes ahead, spits him back out now. Crown going to be nearby. Of course, a flash is going to be the question. He gets stunned up, stunned yet again right on the tail end of that, but still just a bit too far away. Not enough power and no ultimate on that Syndra, so he can still waltz out.
As Tom Kench roams this week, Tucson getting the solo kill, invading for a Freak of Freaks with the Tom Kench, and then Core JJ interrupting. I love the fact that he didn't instant use his Devour, waited to see the body slam animation. Nope, got him out of his movement ability and ended up getting a flash from that. So great play from Core JJ, even though he's got so much attention from MVP in terms of bans this series.
Really nicely done by him. Still showing some prowess. Says, you know what? Maybe he's not even good at playing the Zyra anymore because he just can't get any games on it, so maybe just stop practicing it.
Well, I mean, he is 3-0 this season, so that's the only counterpoint, but I do take
That's true.
a nod from what you're saying.
Keep banning it to a point, he'll just abandon that. Now, pitching right back around the side, tries to get in onto Maha. Hit that tongue lash, so it seems like it's just going to be a pretty even exchange between the ADCs.
He's gone for the cold start, just like Marin. It is a favorite lane for him, so that's why he can afford to go a bit more greedy.
2v2. As both the junglers are here, Ambition with the red buff. Can't find the opening.
Yeah, Ambition, even though he's full health, can't actually afford to jump in. Even though he has his flash up, knows that Kha'Zix can instantly be turned on, so smart of him to just back away and relieve pressure.
Just minor leads here, stretching in favor of Samsung.
Coin has been taken by the Zilean. We've only seen Rakan pick that up from the school of thought of, well, I'm going to lose lane anyway, so why not go for the coin? It's a different type of coin coming through from Zilean, who has the push advantage, but getting the points into Q and W early does help with his damage rotations.
Cube, maybe looking to interrupt the back.
Is actually, I think the bigger thing there is, okay, on the one hand, interrupting the back, but also pulling the minion wave a little bit to get a freeze going on his side. So information, but the double whammy of also potentially getting a freeze forces the very aggressive teleport from ADD. Doesn't want to deal with that.
He'll go ahead, bounce right back in. Ambition forward into the mid lane. Going to be finding an opening here.
The other awkward part for the Jarvan into Renekton's another matchup where he's kind of forced to go a lot more conservative with his itemization. Can't just go for a Tiamat first, will just get burst down by the Renekton or lose out during the ult because he'll get the health disadvantage and the Sunfire-esque magic damage burn from the Renekton ultimate.
Yeah, Ninja Tabby start for him. So call about halfway done for ADD. 50 some odd CS to go. They'll have that nice little burst of gold coming through.
Didn't mention it, but ADD was our first top lane Jarvan, if I remember correctly, in the end of spring season. He was playing it a little bit before it became more meta.
Wouldn't shock me if it was ADD.
Pretty sure it was, almost certain it was, so he will be another player that's expected to have the thought of what's putting into it.
It's going to be another gank coming down the bottom lane. Yeah, 3v3 here. Beyond in the front line. Going low. Does not have that flash. And he's just going to get taken down. Ruler finishing him off with that final shot. Now Crown wrapping around from the backside. Do they want to dive in for this one? Sun's not going to connect. That's going to be the curtain call opened up. Max going to hightail it out of there. Does flash out. Maha going to be eating the rest of these. Unleashed power comes through. And Crown goes low. Flashes away from the bomb, but Ian's going to be here to scoop up the kill, but actually doesn't get it. Max is able to finish him off before the Orianna can arrive for the tag. So 1-for-1, first blood over to Samsung.
That time it felt like Crown wasn't really on the same page with the rest of his team. Core JJ was low health, so wasn't walking up with the Devour. And it took so long for the setup, and they changed targets from trying to just burst down Max into trying to take down Maha through heal and flash. Then Orianna showed up. There was no exit strategy for the Syndra. Pretty rough stuff from the side of Samsung Galaxy. Looked a bit off form, even though they've gone up in this series. And the answering kill comes over to MVP.
Yeah. Intriguing, to say the least. And Samsung's still going to maintain a bit of a lead, but not nearly as large of one as you would expect, given that they got that first blood. So, the star stuff, especially from Crown there. Communication breakdown, perhaps, for the squad at the moment.
Both teams are pretty on point in terms of pick comps. Samsung's facilitating the picks with the flag and drag and also the Syndra stun. And Brawler, just like Maha was attempting to do in the previous game, will be hanging way back and hoping that Ambition can do most of the heavy lifting when it comes to consistent damage.
Stun coming through. Get that Thunderlord proc in. Unleash power. Not yet up for Crown, so the all-in potential is going to be very limited.
Priority on the side of MVP is getting Renekton even further ahead, getting him to have kill pressure on the Jarvan, or at least have push priority on him, because the four-man squad here is very strong at team fighting with the Gragas, Zillion, and Orianna utility.
More of attrition over this control ward will be won by MVP. Lose their standards.
AD has the push priority on top. Tiamat's going to be a while before it comes in, and even then Renekton just has an innate push advantage. Cull getting closer and closer to being cashed in on the 20 CS.
Yeah, nearly there. So we'll have a lot of the components of that Black Cleaver to come through. Got the Tiamat start. Being taken. Crown not going to get it. Ian does walk away with that one.
Looks contested and have the timing in order to steal it away, and didn't have range to just plop it up. So in the end, doesn't get anything from it. Will lose control ward as a result.
Yeah, it's been good vision so far from MVP, especially from ADD being self-sufficient. Control ward at the blue buff does get cleared out by QV, but you can still see his priorities just walking right back down into that area of the jungle to get some little spot vision. Try to keep track of where Ambition's at.
And the draft is also a bit more solid. You know, bot lane certainly will be winning in terms of pressure from MVP. Renekton has the pressure advantage on Jarvan. Only self-counter pick was in mid lane, but if they keep playing through mid lane and warding through mid lane, less one-on-one kill pressure. It is barrier Orianna, so a lot of extra shielding to have to power through for Crown to have kill pressure.
Yeah, and he's keeping things very close. Crown, after that roam to the bottom side of the map, did have a nice little lead, about 15 CS up. I believe he was over Ian, but has been shrunk down, and Ian's actually starting to just chip away at that turret in the meantime.
Fail roams often do lead to multiple minion waves being pushed in, a couple of auto attacks from the Orianna, and already we're talking about a half HP turret. MVP largely pathing around top lane, trying to grow a bigger lead over the Jarvan. And pretty simple standard stuff, apart from Crown kind of overflexing in the bot lane and being punished.
Yep. Slow pace. Another Ocean Drake to start things off, so not a lot of priority going to be placed around that bottom side of the map. Let's see how long it takes for the Rift Herald to come into contention this time, if at all. Moment. Not even going to be any wards thrown down in that pit.
Amusingly, Samsung have another indirect way to deal with the Rift Herald, as Tahm Kench can devour it. I believe that's how that interaction goes.
That's a big stomach.
I'll wait to see it in person. We saw the Bard interaction. We're still learning about some of his Rift Herald interactions. Someone said you can Blood Boil it.
Yeah, you can Blood Boil it with Nunu.
That sounds fun.
Hilarious.
He can also devour it if it's on the enemy side.
Tilt your ADC.
That's what we look for, Achilles. Extra tilt strategies.
For now, vision will just be cleared out, established in the river by Samsung. But just as quickly taken away by MVP.
They just don't have priority, Samsung. The only way they actually get vision to stick is if there's an oversight from MVP, so whatever Samsung puts down will largely be taken, and MVP also predictably will have position with those pushing lanes, and they can see QV has no mana, so there should be an objective for MVP.
Cheating very far forward. They're going to try to drag this even further away. 1500, the bombs come down. So going to push forward for this one. Tries to get the seal, not going to have it. Smite's way too early. Meanwhile, on the other side, Body Slam comes forward onto Crown as he gets Shockwave, and he gets taken out. Ian putting a second kill on the board for MVP.
Yeah, they overkill him. They don't even need the cask, which was just a party cask afterwards, celebrating Crown going down, which, given the Samsung Remember, they had to deal with Crown winning MVP in every spring match between these two teams. Probably a bit of catharsis about that particular party cask.
Yeah. Big celebration.
Crown was on one side of the fight, getting no backup. Jarvan had to completely recall and then wait for his mana bar to tick up, so he was always going to be second on a rotation. Actually ended up holding on to his teleport. There was nothing for him to fight over by the time everything happened. Max was splinging out of control with some of those drops from the quest.
Getting a lot.
Probably very close to cashing in that quest. Usually when laning phase ends, it's invariably around the time. And I guess the theory here is that Zilean already has a speed up, so you're going to get pretty close to the movement speed cap, and you only have one ability that harasses that can actually proc the Spell Thief's quest. So I guess Coin is probably the only one that really fits him.
Yeah, that's true. Good lord, he's going to be really fast.
But now he's just going to be with extra points in his abilities. Not going to be quite as fast. Or I guess you have earlier points into his East, something.
I'm imagining him just getting that Spell Thief's boost. That would be absurd. But it would take way too long to get.
It's true. It would be way too long, and you hit the cap so early, Achilles, that if there was no movement speed cap, it'd be big.
Good trade here for Juve. Taking 80 down low. Notice he has the flash. Could use the Cataclysm to try to bait that.
He has the flash, he has
Slice
Dominus, he has Slice and Dice. No real kill pressure, but certainly a pressure lead for Samsung.
Oh, well, you don't say that. It's going to be this Voyage coming through here as CoreJJ arrives with Ruler and Toes. They try to pick up the kill. Slice and Dice away, but the Deadly Flourish finds it. Ambition is there to scoop up the kill.
Well, anyone has kill pressure with 4, but let's see how the turret race goes here. We're waiting for the first brick to come in. 4 members in top lane, but they were waiting for a wave to crash. Looks like MVP may actually end up winning it. They will.
Yeah, really slow take on the turret there for Ruler, of course, so can't finish it off quite as quickly as they would like. So first brick still does go over to MVP.
Now, but look at Samsung's wards, Achilles. They have a lot of wards around Rifto. They want that to be the second objective, and there's very good speed in a Kha'Zix at picking it up. So Samsung are really gambling on being able to get the Rift Herald. So far, MVP aren't going for a second turret, even though that was an easier objective for them to pick up. They took the easiest in stealing away a red buff.
Good vision of jungle here as they do start to sob.
This part is all expected, but that means MVP want to fight.
Oh, Ash Arrow comes through. Crown going to have to flash away from that one. The Ghost just not quite up. A few more seconds on that.
And MVP aren't even walking over. I think it's a big mistake to give this up. They could have made so many other decisions.
They're finally here to check, but it's just a bit too late. So Ambition will be able to go ahead. Trade out his Trinket for period of time.
But just follow the logic. You know, if you follow the macro of what Samsung did, they just abandoned bot lane, went top, got a turret dive kill, but again, the race was won by MVP and turrets. They had the inside track going for a second turret, and yet they pulled away, stole a red, blew a flash in mid lane. When they were rotating up, I was like, okay, they're going to contest. They're going to go straight into the Rift Tower. They don't want to give it up.
Nope,
but instead they were just looking for a kill and then meandered in mid lane for the last 3,000 HP of the Rift Tower. I think that's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how to play the patch, and Samsung have been the strongest at playing around Rift Herald. So definitely the sort of thing in a VOD review that MVP needs to tighten up. You need more priority on the Rift Herald.
Well, Samsung, they can properly utilize it. They stretch themselves into a sizable lead. As right now, we're pretty much dead even across the board. The one in turrets, just that Ocean Drake, really the only thing separating these two squads at the moment.
Mission going for a visit bot lane. Pulls out of it. That was Beyond, my apologies, but Jarvan was pulling back anyway, so Beyond wasn't going to get much.
He's going to look for the wraparound here onto Ruler. Cast is ready, flashes in. Devourer takes him away from the Ash Arrow, so Ruler going to stay safe. It's knocked down to about half HP before JJ going to take the rest of the hits.
Meanwhile,
for his ADC, and yeah, Kube now going to be jumped on. Missile Voyage comes through as they pile in. ADD going for the exchange, but forgets about the Tom Kench ulti. The spit comes out. CoreJJ picks up a kill.
How to win games is CoreJJ on this Tom Kench. In position in mid lane for the Devour. Use the Abyssal Voyage to turn it around in bot lane, exactly, Achilles. And also flashed in for the Devour if needed onto Cuvée, who had no mana. So AD might have been suspicious about why he continued to fight. But real team fight general stuff from CoreJJ. Usually he's doing it on the Zyra. Jumps onto the melee support. Still looking good.
Oh, Crown trying to get set up here. Just tossing his balls into the brush, but
As you do.
Will not be able to bait Ian over. Just throw them all at his face.
The moment that you commit to ball, so we've got Orianna and Syndra in the game.
It's hard to avoid.
It's the ball, and there's spears, Achilleos.
Okay. We'll do that. The one true ball.
One true ball. To rule them all.
Yeah.
To continue your Lord of the Rings analogy.
Yeah, he's got the necklace going, so.
QV's gone surprisingly offensive in the build. We've seen even Sunfire Cape, despite being nerfed, forced by these Renekton's, and QV saying, well, hopefully I can teleport out of lane and make sick engages, because the items will be overshadowed by what AD has. He's even gone further.
Oh, tries to get the interrupt there. The double bomb over the wall, but he finds one stick. This is going to be the charge in, so we start trying to knock down this tier 1 turret in the mid lane. They find this is going to be the question. Gerald now tanking up the turret. Will go down just a couple more hits, but it seems like Samsung are going to be able to get much more than that. Devour from Core JJ, taking Ruler away from the body slam.
He also sidesteps it.
Yeah, just stops. Just hits the S right there.
Core JJ is like, this is my time for an MVP.
He's definitely making a solid case for it so far.
Flashy stuff from Core JJ, this time on the Tahm Kench. Zyra's only win MVPs with Flash Ultimates, as Wolf will happily tell you. Quest already cashed in, you can tell by the overshield that he has on him right now.
Now Samsung, they want to go from here. Second Dragon has come up, it's another Ocean Drake. Is that going to be the point of contention? Clearing out the vision here into the middle of the river. QV dashing forward to the Flag and Drag, not quite committing in for the Cataclysm yet.
Flashes off on both the carries of MVP, so he didn't just go for Cataclysm.
Well, MVP, they feel the need to go for this Ocean Drake with ADD TPing in.
It's an Ocean, so you can see the Samsung say, screw it, let's push mid and try and get an inner turret out of this. They're going to have the Kha'Zix slow, they're going to have the Jarvan also threaten and engage. Only ADD has been able to push up.
They can just exit up through the jungle. Turret going low, a couple more hits. QV gonna stick around, get stunned up by the bomb.
from QV.
Is that gonna be it? Ash Arrow gonna go wide, flags it, drags over the wall, keeping himself safe at the moment. Ball comes forward, big stun out from Brown, keeping his team safe. Throws out the Unleashed Power. Deadly Flourish comes down onto ADD as he goes low, slicing and dicing forward. Trying to find the kill, just can't quite find it. Cataclysm down from QV over the wall, has to flash away. Shockwave, crucially missed by Ian. Not finding a kill onto the Jarvan, but maybe one onto Ambition. Explosive Gas comes down, just one more hit would finish him up, but he's still able to walk away seemingly with his life. Core JJ going low, pops the gray HP. Shield does get taken down in the end.
QV is teleporting back in at full HP, doesn't have Cataclysm.
I mean, there are so many opportunities there for MVP, but they can still only close out the one kill onto Core JJ instead. Going to be looking to pressure out this mid-tier 1 turret, which has fallen low.
Yeah, 2 kills would have represented potential ability to turn onto the Baron. So they're going to just about break the turret line. Second turret of the game for MVP.
All right, well, they do go ahead and pick that one up. Lost the tier 2 for themselves. Gained the tier 1. Keeping it close, 1.2 thousand gold separating.
QV got really greedy. You have to wonder if it was worth overstaying and basically ruining the position of everyone else. Suddenly everyone's exposed when you know QV, his EQ is down, he's not in position with his front line. Orianna did not get the ult she was looking for. Ian thought he had the Faker hitbox on the Shockwave. He did not. Not able to take down Ian. And only one pick is all they could claim. Waiting for the Devour cooldown there. Turned onto the Tahm Kench, do take him down. QV does invest his teleport, even though the fight is pretty clearly over. So, once again, Samsung hasn't been their usual, very well drilled, very well on the same page self today. There has been some gaps in the playbook, but they still are very much in this second game. Only about 1,500 gold to separate the two teams.
Yeah. Now QV pushing forward, trying to bait ADD in yet again for another exchange. Ambition waiting in the brush, knows that he's unseen, comes in with the ultimate, flag and drag through the knock him up, pops the Dominus, dashes away as swiftly as he can, but he does not have a flash. Cataclysm will finish him off. Now Ash Arrow coming through, beautiful flash away from Core JJ, but Ruler, he goes in a straight line, Explosive Gas comes through, and he just gets obliterated by Ian. They find the pick on the other side, but they will be losing this last outer turret.
Some big evacuation required there from Samsung. Everyone trying to get out the line of fire. A straight line flash that would make Clear Love proud. Takes down Ruler on the backside. Not everyone could get out, even though the flashes were invested by 2.
And this is giving them a bit of room to work with as they push forward. Zillion throwing out the bombs, trying to zone them back. Stun comes through. It's about to clip Maha. Big shockwave this time around. Finds 3 members. Ambitious.
Stun as well.
Double bombs comes through. Not in danger of going down. Not enough AP there on Max to actually find the kill. Now Cube pinching in from the backside perhaps, but with no Cataclysm, he'll think better of it.
And the pinch is also not that respectable because Ian and Maha once again still have flash ups. A nice double stun right at the end. Doesn't get any bonus objectives. But unlike Samsung, MVP a little bit more respectful. They don't go to finish off that inner turret. They back away.
Oh, ruler.
Flashes are hard sometimes, it turns out.
He tried. Silver Star.
Speaking of trying, he went for a very early Executioner's Calling, which on a lot of AD carries you'd love in this spot. Dominus is extra health, Gragas and his Happy Hour passive. It also works against Zilean, but he kind of went for it when he's not really on much of an auto attack carry. Sure, Jhin will invariably do damage to multiple members in a fight, but it's not the same validity as, say, an Ashe in this spot picking up the Executioner's Calling. You might even argue that Jarvan might want to try and fit it in somewhere because he's probably going to be doing AoE damage to most members now that the Cataclysm procs damage on everyone in the area. But given the Zilean, Dominus, and the Gragas, Executioner's Calling, very important here.
He also has a Hydra as well. So.
It's true. A lot of different ways to proc AoE damage. Feels like Jhin is just one of the least possible when it comes to getting the most out of that particular item. And it's
he's now got this mind game. Every time he just starts pushing into ADD, he's like, oh, there's somebody nearby, I know it.
Is it just me, or is the Grasp of Undying procs doing a lot of damage every time he's able to proc that? It feels like somehow he's outclassing the Fervor with the Grasp here.
He's beating the crap out of him.
A lot of health stacking, I guess, on both sides, so that makes sense. I'm just surprised whenever Grasp does more than, like, 50 damage.
Yeah. Get that with, like, a Blade of the Ruined King. Just keep smacking them. You're passive on top of everything.
You're asking for too much for the Blade to be worked into the Jarvan build.
Maybe if ADD was playing it.
That's true. Or Huni.
Or Huni.
I love that both teams were banning Lucian top in the series yesterday. Both teams.
It's a major concern.
Lucian top was banned twice, and Cassiopeia top was played against Huni. The meme potential of the bans and picks there were just unbelievable.
I mean, God forbid Faker plays it in the mid lane. I've already seen it a couple times in my solo queue, and it would just be absolutely ruined if Faker picks it up.
I just want to see some Riven. Top lane Riven, mid lane Riven. I'm ready for some Riven, Achilles.
Faker revisit.
If everyone's playing Fiora, why not Riven?
I don't know. Maybe we just have to, go tap a couple coaches on the shoulder. Like, hey, this is really good right now.
And they'll say, sorry, I don't speak English. We tried.
Yeah. Like, oh, Aatrox. Best pick.
That's the Max Atlas Anderson exclusive pick there.
Yeah. That one's a bridge too far.
I've heard him engage with multiple Korean support staffs and players, and they're like, oh, I don't think Aatrox is that strong in this meta. Then he explains Rageblade, and they know to just turn and walk away. They always give him the benefit of the doubt until he talks about Rageblade on
They
Aatrox.
give him that, 15 seconds.
Yeah. It's like, oh, no, we don't see Aatrox very much. And then he talks about Rageblade, and they know to disengage.
Well, Samsung successfully disengaged from that Infernal Drake take. Pick one up for themselves. Be, oh boy, another Ocean on the way. So 3 potentially for MVP.
I want to talk about Adaptive Helm a bit in this game. You do see that it is taken by 2 people. You might think, okay, why? It works really well against Unleashed Power because of the way it works. Each ball, just like you would remember, they used to use...
Whoa. Spheres.
Which sphere? My apologies. Each sphere applies Mirror Mana because they're kind of separate spell casts in a weird way. So actually, whether it's against the regular Qs or the ultimate, you do actually get a lot of value out of the 15% reduced damage, and that means that Renekton and Gragas, who don't want to be targets for the Unleashed Power anyway, are very resilient against Syndra's burst rotations.
Duly noted.
This is a Adaptive Helm I feel a little bit better about, even though once again it's on a Gragas.
All right, you heard it here from Papa Smithy. If you're playing mid lane in your solo queue and there's a Syndra, you're
rush
playing
it,
Orianna,
baby.
Rush Adaptive Helm.
Or you could just play Galio and rush Adaptive Helm.
That's true.
Then you're really happy.
Or an Abyssal Scepter.
You could do that, but,
So many options. Well, things slowing down there. Samsung just snatching that Drake. At the moment, be sitting 1.7 thousand gold in the lead, so it's still really close between these two teams at the moment. That's going to be Unleash Power coming through.
He's fine.
He's okay. He's got that shielding. Keeps himself alive. And the barrier as well.
First wayward game for Crown on Syndra in a while. Two of the mistakes were kind of his own making. First one, of course, the turret dive and then poking around without any backup in the fight around Drake. His 2 deaths, and he hasn't had his item timings like the enemy Orianna, or just like we used to from Crown. Kind of a Void Staff short of even threatening an Orianna, which is kind of worrying for the pace of Syndra.
Looks like he's working his way over there now, unless he's going to make a pit stop for the Banshee's Veil.
Person to watch in these fights is Maha. MVP have a lot of tools to basically negate Syndra, whether it's items or things like the Zillion ultimate and the shielding from Orianna. But the consistent damage is heavily relying on Maha. I feel like if Maha is on point and Max is there with the Chrono Shift, MVP should win late game fights. I feel like they are set up to do so. But there is ways to play around Chrono Shift. You know, there was a time, a long time ago, where Zillion was massively in the meta, and then a year ago where he was decently in the meta, and people remembered once again, hey, just kill the Zillion first. Make him use the ultimate on himself. He doesn't get to be quite as scary a proposition. So very exciting to see, because Samsung have always been, especially with Ambition, a late game team fighting team, and playing around Windows of Power has been one of their strengths.
Imagine just how annoying it would be to finally work down ADD and let it have him be Chrono Shifted back to HP.
Dude, it's pretty damn annoying.
Yeah.
AD's gone very tanky this game. He kind of gave up on being a threat onto Cuvée and instead focused on just being a shred machine. He bought very early Black Cleaver, which obviously is to be expected, but the straight Dirk was the one where I was like, I don't know where this is going. Doesn't seem like ADD does either. Tiamat costs just a little bit more gold and would have made a lot more sense being able to get out of that animation. It's an old interaction we don't explain every time, but you can cancel the Ruthless Predator animation with the Tiamat proc.
He's got the Chain Vest and the Negatron Cloak. He's going for a Guardian. Oh, wait.
Nope.
Never mind.
Gargoyle Stoneplate,
yeah.
Just like his old mate Cuvée.
Change things up. Says, you know what? I just need to be able to run at people and stun them. My damage output doesn't really matter that much.
On the one hand, as an Australian, I can approve of a very large crocodile running at you, but the other side of the coin is that he'll do super no damage.
It's just a typical Tuesday afternoon for you.
Exactly,
right?
But he'll do super no damage. Even his Dominus aura will be doing, he'll be doing basically negative damage if he gets Gargoyle Stoneplate, but very clearly is working towards it.
That'd be interesting. Negative damage. Just start healing everybody around you instead.
That's what Beyond's all about.
You're like a mobile Janna.
I mean, eventually Beyond is going to get a Gargoyle Stoneplate himself. Hope to proc his Keystone, as Core JJ
Denies any action.
the Core JJ way. I mean, he had fun taken away from him. His Zyra was banned, so now he's taking fun away from MVP.
I think they were going to say he had fun taken away from him because he was on Dignitas.
Hey, what's wrong with Dignitas?
Not much now. But at the time,
It's fair. I haven't noticed if he still keeps the mouse pad around.
you
He
know,
passed it to Ruler last I saw.
I haven't seen it. We'll have to look for it in the closing shot.
We can ask him about it. He does speak English. I hope it's still around.
I'm sure he didn't get rid of it.
OG Dignitas mousepad is ADD. Gonna get collapsed on.
Yeah, he does have the flash. We'll have to burn it. Under the turret goes Cuvée. Down to about half HP. So go ahead and kite back a little bit as they try to get some damage down onto this turret.
The vision control is there for Samsung across the map, so making a play in the top side. And MVP you'd expect to be on Baron already, or trying to answer that Crown is there in top. So far, been pretty slow at even getting a lot of vision here.
Yeah, a lot that they have to clear out. Maybe they would go for a pick as well, because Maha does have that arrow back up.
They're too late to go for the Force. If they had done this 10 seconds earlier, starting the Baron would have been smart.
Oh, body slam in. They do find Ambition. It's got Guardian Angel. So, decently safe at the moment. Now the rest of Samsung getting ready to pinch in ADD. couple different wards that he could TP to, still hovering around in that bottom lane at the moment. You see MVP just really trying to exit safely.
MVP do have to pull out. Did clear vision, but that was at the cost of their inner turret in the bottom lane. It's a good trade from Samsung Galaxy. Playing this methodically, as we perhaps have come to expect from them in the late game. Gone are the Haru Rengar days. Games very often are, once again, getting their average game time up. They were much faster with Haru, but ambition returns, the playstyle returns, and the games get longer and longer.
Comes down, takes a look at that Ocean Drake, now finding ADD. So now a little bit of damage. In the meantime, Cataclysm comes through. There's going to be Max forced to use the ultimate onto himself. Will get popped in the end. Comes back up. Yeah, Chrono Shift on its last couple seconds before he would have actually died. Shots come through from the curtain call. Hits Maha, but he gets popped right back up by the Redemption.
One tool is used. Chrono Shift down, answered by the curtain call. So otherwise, a lot of ultimates available.
Given just the nature of Zilean, we know that he's going to have that Chrono Shift very quickly. He's already 50% off cooldown.
Samsung don't have their Force ultimate, which largely is the Cataclysm, so may have to just settle for a micro objective, which would be the prodigal third Ocean Drake of the game.
Cataclysm's coming back off cooldown pretty quickly
Teleport
as well.
being used by MVP. They're trying to force something around Baron.
ADD going straight into the pit.
They're just going to start it now.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead, start this up, and Cube, he's down at the bottom side of the map. Clearing out the vision. TP into the tri-brush above. HP now on this Baron as they start pushing forward. Shockwave connects in. That's going to be Crown going extremely low, and he'll get taken out in the end as Ian finds the kill. But so much damage from Cubase. He goes into the pit, the double kill as he takes out the bot lane. Ian going down as well. Kill over to Ruler. That should be the ace. It will, and that will be the Baron over to Samsung, turning that one right on its head.
We wondered if anything would change from MVP. Sure, they exploded Syndra, but their Baron misplays are legendary. How many Barons did they steal or have stolen by them or on them at the end of last season? The turn was great, but I said turn, not turn, and then burn the Baron as well. They tried to do both. They tried to do too much, not respecting they were just grouped in AoE, still tanking the Baron, and Cuvée exploded them, complemented by a big assist by the big purple worm.
They got bopped right there. Massive turnaround from the side of Samsung. The 5-for-1+ Baron play transitioned into an inhibitor take.
And he didn't use his Gargoyle Stone play because Cuvée wanted to do as much damage as possible.
He did a lot.
He did a lot. We're going to see the Reaper here. So far, so good.
It starts off so well.
It's a good decision to start the Baron. Ambition and Meandered. They turn, they instant kill the Syndra. Perfect stuff from MVP. Now continue to pull away, get out of the fight. They never did that. Maha flashes further in, and then they get sky dunked by Cuvée. Instant double kill. Baron has still hitting members of MVP. How can they have so much time and yet still make the same mistakes around Baron? And Samsung say thanks for the leash, pick up the Baron buff, and blow open the game.
I like that sky dunk. It's a good one.
What happens when you layer it perfectly? It's basically the Michael Jarvan.
That should have been...
Why did they not make Michael Jarvan?
I don't know.
It's so good. It's probably not allowed.
A bridge too far.
Yeah.
Might have some legal issues around that one.
But you don't understand. His name's Jarvan. It's fine.
Yeah. We got Dunk Bastard Darius. It's about as close as it's going to get. Poor JJ can't devour himself, but he's still going to be plenty tanky. Meanwhile, pitch in on the backside from Cuvée, throws out the Cataclysm, locks up two. Ian has to flash up to keep himself safe. Now the inhibitor going to be under siege. Mission goes low, still has the GA available. They go for it. They find Maha. They find Max yet again. And it is just going to be a shooting gallery for Ruler on the backside. Double kill comes through as he finishes off ADD. And now with Baron-empowered minions pushing forward, Samsung look to close this out with a 2-0. 37 minutes on the clock, 12-5, a massive lead. We'll go ahead, finished off MVP, but another win on the board.
It is the 2-0 we expected, maybe not in the manner we expected, but Samsung Galaxy, you gotta put a bigger compliments into Cuvée, who had himself counterpicked. The Renekton really didn't accomplish too much work, and ADD kind of seemed to accept his fate very early, moving away from damage. It wasn't even 2 damage Renekton, like we always see. No Tiamat built in this game, just built a serrated Dirk for some reason, and then gave up on trying to build offensive items. And then we go back to the side of Samsung. Cuvée did his work. It's going to be between Cuvée and Core JJ, you'd imagine, for the MVP. Both of them doing great stuff in this game. but the Sky Dunk and also MVP's frailties, the same weaknesses we've seen from them in the past around Baron, rear their ugly head, and MVP really only have themselves to blame.
Yeah. Fantastic performance from QV especially. Might have just earned himself a double MVP, but Core JJ does put up a pretty strong argument with that top game.
I mean, a couple of those people get picked in the early game, and maybe we never see the game go quite the way it did.
Yeah.
For Samsung Galaxies. If Core JJ doesn't pick it up, then he will certainly be the honorable runner-up. But QV, I'd love to hear a double MVP with him, because this is a guy who's kind of had an interesting run of it. Didn't get a single interview outside of, I believe, a team interview right at the end of the spring regular season. So just to hear his thoughts and also hear about his Kled and other champions he's brought in, because he's relatively humble whenever we do hear him speak. Even his Kled, he said he took a lot of inspirations from other players rather than necessarily heaping praise on his own Kled. But Samsung Galaxy, something about ambition has really squared up this team, and 4-0, Haru going to just be waiting in the back, waiting for his time. Until they start losing, his time might be far away.
Yeah. Well, solid stuff from Samsung. Still, some things to work on. There was some scrappiness, especially there in game number 1.
Maybe his players have just got him a wedding present, Achilles. 4 wins in a row. Ambition can't argue.
All right. Yeah. Pretty good wedding gift.
Yeah.
I'm sure the wife's happy. He still has a job.
Yeah.
Still making that money. So all's well that ends well for Ambition and Samsung at the moment. MVP, serious work to be done for this squad. Like you said, moving on to Rift